we haven't even talked about. Oh, we had talked about it last night a little bit. Dogman, and you called him Puppy Boy, but you're like, it's a werewolf. It's you didn't really like the name Dogman. But have you heard growing up in Kentucky any of these stories of the werewolf? I know we talked about it last night, but I don't know if you want to talk about that now or if you want to talk about it later.
Yeah, we can talk about it now if you want.
I don't want to get too far off track of our chronological order and stuff, but yeah, if we want to hit on it a little bit right now, because I just ADHD, my mind goes all over the place, and when I said the Daniel Boone, I was like, I went on an expedition there once, Dogman. And then I was like, why don't you tell your story? That's how my train of thought goes. So, but I know you've heard some of these stories. Yeah.
We were talking about the Brenton Sawan story that I heard that happened just a few miles from me in the next county over, which I'm pretty much on the county line right there in the Daniel Boone. We got to tell you what happened there if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so evidently, there's a guy that lived who's a Vietnam vet, totally self-sufficient, off-the-grid guy, lived out in the middle of the woods in a cabin, and I believe it was Lee County or Clay County, one of the ones that borders where I live. And he was such a good hunter, and if he was going to kill 2 deer, he would take 2 bullets. He never missed. Excellent shot. So one night he was sitting out on his porch and at dusk, and he saw a figure come out of the woods and just stand there on the edge. And he thought it was a person at first and warned him, I'm armed, you need to go back the way you came or I'm going to shoot. Stepped a little closer and he warned again, this is your last warning. If you don't leave, I'm going to shoot. And then it came out of the shadows and rushed him, and it was a Dogman, werewolf.
Puppy Boy.
Yeah. Yeah. It had a poodle head with little ribbons in it. No, so it evidently it came towards him, so he shot it a couple of times in the chest, and it retreated into the woods. He knew he didn't kill it though. So he was worried about this, so he went to his buddy's house that lived close by and talked to him and his nephew and told him, look, this is what happened to me. I'm going to go back home. I'm scared. I'll be honest, I'm scared, but I'm going to go back home, and if something happens, you know what happened to me. So they tried to get him to stay the night with them, and he said, no, I'm not going to let it chase me off. I'm going back home, stand my ground. So about, I think it was like 2 a.m, they get a call from this guy, and he's screaming over the phone that it's back and it's trying to get in his door, and they can hear it smash through the door. They hear the guy screaming, and then the line goes dead. So they immediately jump and get in their truck, and they drive out to this guy's property. But by the time they get there, there's already law enforcement there, sheriffs, state police, some FBI-looking guys. And he knows the sheriff, so he asks him, what's going on? And he's like, all we found was his foot just ripped off, and there's blood everywhere. The door's been smashed in, splintered. And all he found was the guy's foot. So he keeps trying to question the sheriff, and the sheriff's like, look, I can't really tell you what's going on now because we got these government guys here. But if you go home, I'll get with you later and tell you exactly what's going on. So as they were standing there talking, they looked down and saw tracks in the dirt. And the nephew kind of nudged his uncle and was like, look down. And when they did, the FBI-looking guys just took his foot and smoothed out the tracks, made them disappear, and told him it was time for them to leave. So they left. Later, he got in touch with his sheriff friend, and his sheriff friend wouldn't tell him anything. That was the last,
Some friend he is.
Yeah. I guess they threatened him, evidently.
Yeah.
But they were there just like that, before they could even get there.
To me, that screams tracking.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I think, so I think these creatures come from many different places. I think that some of them have been here and they're ancient. I think some of them are coming from other realms. I think that some of them are created in labs. And the ones created in the labs are being tracked.
Yeah.
Maybe we have technology that can track when portals open and they're on it, you know, which we'll talk about, because you have you have a picture of a portal opening up on your property. I've seen it. It's literally probably one of the most impressive portal pictures I've been given, because the first image I saw was up close and it looks nighttime.
Yeah.
And then the second image I saw was it not zoomed in and is actually at dusk.
Yeah.
And it's daylight.
Yeah.
And you see this green portal opening up and you saw with your naked eye, you took a picture of it, and I'm just like, holy crap. But anyways, yeah, so I think that maybe they have technology that they can see the energy changes, and they know certain signatures on the screen are like, that is what we were looking for. Go now.
Yeah.
Because something's going to happen and we need to be there to clean it up if something happens bad.
Yeah.
But we hear about that stuff all the time, you know?
And that's very close to this military base.
That you worked at?
Just, like a 5-minute chopper flight or something.
I'm we'll get into this too. Because there is, I had an episode, I think it was 444. I called it the Kentucky UFO crash cover up or something like that. And I think it's in Pikesville.
Pikeville, yeah.
Pikeville.
Is that the train?
Yeah, the train. Yeah. So,
heard about that.
Yeah, and that's if I remember looking into it, and that incident was south of, I think, a rumored deep underground military base or military base. Is that matching up with the one you worked at, or no?
It would be from there. It would be northeast. Not too far.
Okay, gotcha.
Probably the closest base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, before we move forward, you shared a second one where you were talking to your neighbor, who just relayed some puppy boy content to you.
Yeah. So he told me about, I guess back in the 1920s, on this same creek below my house where the portal and other stuff is happening. A whole family was killed, and the only survivor was a little boy. They found him a few days later wandering up out of the woods. Said his whole family had been killed by a werewolf or a wolf man. And the family was just gone.
Like there's no trace of them? They were just gone?
Yeah.
Wow.
And just him left, a little boy, maybe 8 or 9.
Hearing that story, it makes you wonder what they could have found if they had the technology we have today. That's back in the 1920s.
Right, yeah.
And even like they probably wouldn't even know to look for hair, as far as human hair, I mean, like looking, because what are you going to even do with the human hair? There's no DNA testing back then.
Yeah.
And
they probably chalked it up to a wolf or a wildcat or something.
And the kid's interpretation after seeing his whole family devoured.